Welcome back to another episode of the Shit Stick of Life podcast. I'm Kortney Wilson. Let's get into it. This episode includes conversations about sexual assault, which may be difficult to hear. Please care for yourself while listening, and know the resources and support are linked in the show notes. Whew. I just finished a podcast with Ordinary Hero founder, the organization that I go to Ethiopia with, and my dear friend, Kelly Putty. Now, I'm literally out of breath. I wrote this amazing intro for her as she was sitting beside me, talking about everything that she had done, her organization, motherhood, mom to 9 children, 4 of which were adopted from Ethiopia, her glamping site in Kentucky that she started. But the reality is I had no idea her shit stick of life story that led to all of that. I had little glimpses. She just left. We just said goodbye to her. And to say that we were all a ball full of tears at different points of the interview would be an understatement. So much so that we're going to break this up into a part 1 and a part 2. I don't want to actually tell you too much. I would really love for you to listen to her very powerful and impactful story. Here's my conversation with Kelly Putty.
Wow. Thank you, friend.
So I really want to get to the beginning, but before we get to the beginning, I think it's important for everybody to know a little bit about how we met. So we have a mutual friend.
Yes.
Her name is Linda Adele Howard. She's my entertainment lawyer, and somehow she got introduced to Ordinary Hero and you a long time ago, right?
Yes.
Okay. I want to say she was dragging me to these, events, but I didn't go kicking and screaming. I was so excited. But when somebody invites you to like a fundraiser, you're always like, oh my goodness.
She's connected to everybody.
She's connected to everyone. So I went to one of your fundraisers and I left feeling like I wanted to adopt more children.
Good.
Yeah. And that somehow we were connected, but I didn't exactly know how. I met you. You were meeting hundreds of people that night. And then I would meet you at these lunches that Linda would put together. And we were connected for several years.
Yes, we were.
Until, how was it that I ended up on a trip with you? I don't remember if it was Linda, because Linda wasn't on the trip.
No, it was just over the course of us connecting and you learning more and
about
just
Ordinary Hero.
wanting to go for it.
So Kelly is the founder of Ordinary Hero, an organization that is based to help people in Ethiopia primarily, or almost exclusively.
Yes.
Okay. And we're going to get to her connection to Ordinary Hero and how that all started. But you all have watched me, if you follow me on social media, advocating for people in Ethiopia. So I take my whole family on this trip, or 2 of the 3 of my kids, Ryan. And we're all in Ethiopia with you and your husband, Shane, who, by the way, is the sweetest, most adorable, funniest dad, now grandfather. So it was a real treat for us. But when we were there, I got to know you and fell deeper in love with your family, with you and your mission, and with you as a person.
Well, you saw it firsthand.
I saw
travel
why.
the world.
I saw the why.
Yes.
By traveling the world together, yes, across the world together. So tell me about your humble beginnings. Let's start back. What was little Kelly?
Oh, wow, girl.
Where are you from? Where are you from, lady?
Which stick are we picking up right now? Okay. Little Kelly. There's a lot there, but raised with my mother and father until I was 6, and then they divorced. So
in Kentucky?
in Kentucky. So typical, divorce family, and caught up in the midst of all of that. Yes, yes. And as you know, custody stuff, and so.
And you were caught in the middle of that.
Yes, yes. I have 3 sisters, and discovered that I have an older brother, and that's a whole other story.
Oh my gosh.
Discovered him at age 26, and right around 9/11. So we'll talk about that sometime. It's a fun story.
Uncovering more things about it.
Yes. But did not have a great relationship with my father.
Mhm.
So that was a whole deal in itself as I approached my teenage years. And he was a recon Marine in Vietnam. So very strict parenting.
Cut and dry.
And oh, yes, all of that.
But educated, very educated.
Yes, he is still to this day, a
Lawyer.
criminal defense attorney,
Dang.
well known in my small town.
Mm-hmm.
But he's hardcore, and he raised us that way. And so that rubber met the road when I was a teenager, about 13. So we had a falling out at that time and really did not have any communication with him for about 3 years. And adored my mother. She remarried, was raised by my stepfather. And life was, going on as it should. And I was excelling in school and had.
What were your dreams back then?
My dream back then was I was in a show choir. And so I loved to sing. And my dream, I thought I was going to be Faith Hill.
Oh my gosh, I thought I was going to be Faith Hill.
So that really became a little bit of my identity. I poured myself into singing and creating that whole space for myself. So that was fun, but I had a very traumatic life event when I was 16, and I do think that plays a part of who I am today and my passion for wanting to help people. So normal day, I'm working literally at the Hallmark store in the mall as a 16-year-old.
I remember that store.
Yes, and selling greeting cards. I mean, how much more?
How much?
Flake?
Yeah, exactly.
In a small town, working at the Hallmark store. But on my way,
you say cornflake. I usually say how much more vanilla. I think I'm going to start using cornflake.
Yes.
Okay.
So on my way to work, and as a teenager, and as we all as women have noticed, you're at a stoplight, you look across, and there's gross men staring at you. You know, I shook it off, never thought another thing about it. Went on my way, had to stop at a convenience store on the way to work. So I stopped there, went in, and when I came back out, I noticed that same car with those same two men sitting parked right beside my car. Granted, I was raised in this small town. Crimes just weren't a thing.
So you didn't live in fear. You weren't. You weren't like a city
fear.
girl where
I
you were
was
always
never
looking
even
around.
prepped as to what to do in this situation. Wish I had been, but made my way to my car and got as far as putting the key in my car door. Someone came up behind me with a knife to my neck and said if I said or moved or did anything, he would cut me and kill me right there. So I froze in complete shock, horror, froze. And I remember looking across the parking lot, probably 100 yards from me, was someone on a payphone standing right there in front of that store that I just walked out. And I wanted so bad
for them to turn around and look at you, but they weren't looking at you.
No, weren't looking at me, and I was so frozen, I didn't know to scream.
Isn't that funny? Because we hear a lot about victims and how people will say, why didn't they fight back? Every time I hear see testimony that it gets replayed of a victim's, being, accused of not doing their part to make it stop. You must really empathize with that.
If today I would counsel anyone, I counsel my kids, you fight.
You fight. Yeah.
Because if they ever take you from point A to point B, you more than likely don't make it out alive. So
that's a true statistic, yes. But at the time you froze.
Froze, completely frozen, was at their mercy. And they threw me into the floorboard.
They as in?
There was another man driving, and he was wearing a mask. And then there was the man who took me. And together, they were in on this. And so threw me down into the front floorboard of their car and like put his foot on me and held me there and took off. So that was it, as life as I knew it.
And you were 16?
That 16-year-old Kelly. So it was horrific, and they proceeded to just tell me things they were going to be doing to me, and of course I was crying and begging to let me out, and that would make things worse. They would just punch me in the face or, be more abusive. So I didn't know where they were taking me, and we ended up far out into the country down a gravel road, and that was where they pulled me out, assaulted me, and
They both assaulted you.
Yes.
Sexually.
Yes. And the whole time I'm begging them to stop, and I'm just getting beaten to be quiet. So I learned to just be quiet. There's nothing I could do, and I just the whole time am trying to think, how am I getting out of this? And so they put me back in the car, and one of them started complaining that he needed to go pick up his wife from a factory job. And so they're making a plan of what to do with me. And so it was turning into one of these situations where they were going to go put me somewhere and just keep me as some sort of sex slave somewhere. And so I'm getting more and more aware of my surroundings. I'm looking at street signs.
To this day, do you see all those things and hear it as it
Yes,
once
I'm
was?
playing it out.
You are playing it out right
And, I don't go here too often.
No,
I've
I know,
actually
and
taken a break from sharing my story. It's been a nice break, but, I used to speak in churches and try to share just to give people some inspiration of how I came through this, because I know it's possible.
Well, I certainly do not want you to share anything you're not comfortable
No,
with. And I also appreciate that you're opening up. And though I knew some of this, I definitely did not know the
Right.
details. And it's very hard to hear. And also, I already know that it's going to change lives.
Yes.
So you now are plotting your way out.
Yes. And they've just got me back in the car, and we're driving again. And then they pull off again, and do it all over again out behind a barn somewhere. And by this time, they had left my pants and who knows what out in the woods. They were just gone. And I'm grasping at whatever I can to put back on. And because they are now saying they're going to pick up this person's wife, and they put me in the back with one of them and swear me to silence or they're going to kill me. And we head off from point A to point B to pick up
The wife.
the wife. Where they made the mistake is they crossed the state line from Kentucky into Tennessee, which added federal charges, federal kidnapping charges.
But they were dumb criminals. It didn't understand that. How did that affect or in turn help your case later on?
It did.
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
get to that, but
We might need a part 1 and a part 2 for this
Girl,
podcast.
No, I'm saying where.
Okay.
So we end up at this factory, and this blonde woman comes out irate and just going off on this person, which was, I guess, her husband driving the car. She flings the door open. Where have you been? I've been waiting. He gives her some excuse, so we had to go pick her up. He's pointing to me and says that I'm with him in the back seat. And she looks back and she just says, yeah, I bet. And she just immediately is questioning, what have you been doing? So she demands to drive the car. Scoot over, I'm going to drive. He argues with her. No, they go back and forth. Well, she gets her way, and he scoots over, and she is driving the car. And it's this long sedan. This was in 1989, and just a dirty, older model car.
And she's not saying anything to you.
No.
She hasn't asked you a question.
She sits down, she turns around and looks at me, and then just...
Like she's seen this before?
I don't know. She just assumed what he said was true, that I was with the person in the back seat. Okay. I don't know. So she starts driving. It takes about 20 minutes to get back into town, and they are literally driving right past where they took me from, the parking lot. By this time, I had been missing, never showed up for work. So they called, and my mother had called the police, and they had been searching for me now for hours. I had been gone for hours and never showed up for work. And so my family's out on the side of the road. They're looking in ditches. They don't know where I am but at that moment, and this is God's grace, because I had been so scared and so sworn to silence, we drove past the parking lot, and I look out. It's on my side of the window. And in that moment, a cop car pulled up to my car and flashed his lights on. In that second that we drove past was when it was in, like it's in slow motion. He drove up to the car, the lights flashed, the police lights.
And she's driving the car.
She's driving the car. Everyone's silent, and it triggered me. There is my help.
Right.
Something about seeing the cop car lights start flashing triggered me to start screaming at the woman to let me out of the car.
Because in that moment, you felt some amount of safety, like that was
yes.
in
There's
your
my
view.
help
There's
out the
your
window.
help.
Yes,
This
I
is your
get
chance.
emotional at this point of the story because this is where it all went down.
This was the difference between life and death, you think?
Yes, because they were going to kill me. There's no doubt they were going to. Their plan was to take her, drop her off home or whatever, and then go put me somewhere, whatever they had been discussing. So there was no out for me, and I saw it.
Was the cop looking for you?
Yes.
Okay, so the
yes.
cop
so he
was
had just located my car in that moment that we drove by. Miracle. They had been searching for hours, didn't know that my car was in that parking lot until that patrol car spotted it, turned his lights on, and was driving right up to it at that moment. And so I started screaming at her to let me out of the car. Let me out of the car, let me out of the car. She's saying, what is going on? She's looking at her husband saying, what have you done? What have you done? He is demanding, keep going, don't
driving.
you dare stop. And I'm just keep screaming, let me out, let me out. And she does. She pulls over to the edge of that parking lot and pulls the back of her seat up, and I dart out of that car and just run to that cop. All I have on is a sweater that I had found in that moment. It was a long sweater.
Like in the truck or in the car?
Yes. Because in the drive, before she got in, I managed to just find whatever I could, ran to the policeman. She took off and across the street, and the cop put me with, there was just a whole scenario of things. In that moment, I'm running towards the cop, and my dad pulls up. This is my father, who I had not spoken to in 3 years. Also pulls up into that parking lot right after I had run to the cop. And so there was one cop there. So at that time, another one pulled in. He took off after the car that ran across the street, pulled them over at a McDonald's. And my dad...
Your dad pulled them over? No, the
policeman...
pulled them over.
There was another police car.
Okay, got it.
He pulled up, saw the car, so he went after that
him.
one. I'm sitting with this policeman. My dad is seeing what's happening. Again, he was a recon Marine. He sees the car that I'm pointing
He's not having
to.
it.
At that time, I'm pointing. There they are. There they go. He goes across the street and pulls right up behind the one cop that pulled them over. One of the men gets out on foot and takes off running. So the cop has to go after him, and that leaves my dad sitting there with the one that was driving. So he gets him.
The one that was driving being the woman or the man?
The man.
The man, okay.
So he gets the man. The woman is not fighting anything.
Okay, got
She's
it.
just freaked out, doesn't know
Yeah,
what's
she doesn't
going on.
actually know what's happening.
Right. So my dad holds the one man, and the cop takes off after the other one and never did find him. He
No.
disappeared into the dark. But I just have always thought it was interesting that my dad was the one who physically got that man and held him.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a tip. There was other things. They went ahead and took me to the emergency room. I'm going through the whole rape kit, the horror of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Showering, finally, afterwards, finding bite marks on my body. Like, it was a horrific event. And my mother comes in. She's just traumatized. I would say she never fully recovered from that as a
Really?
mother. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To make a longer story.
Is your dad in the
shorter,
hospital with you? And does he have the words?
I don't recall seeing my dad after that.
No way.
That night.
That night. Okay.
Not that night.
Okay.
It's all a blur. My mother came in.
Okay.
And he may have come in. I was just so out of it.
Yeah.
I don't recall having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a part of everything going down and capturing this one man. And then there was a tip the next day that the one that took off was held up at a motel. And so the cops raided this motel. They did not find him there. They all left. And my dad went back on a hunch and just started searching the place.
Don't mess with Daddy.
He went back to a boiler room of some sort and opened the door and saw feet up on top of a hot water heater, went up, and that was the guy. He grabbed him, pulled him down, held him, and told...
This is guy number 2. So guy number 1's in custody.
Yes.
On a hunch, your dad goes to this place.
Yes. After the cops had raided that place and didn't find anything.
And kind of given up.
Yes, they left. He went back and searched and found the guy there. Held him until the cops came. And, it's an odd story and it's an odd coincidence, but over the years, as I have shared this, I have always said that this was a depiction of God the Father's love for me, for you, for all of us, in the sense that it doesn't matter how long it's been since we've talked. Doesn't matter what kind of relationship you feel like you have together or anything in that sense. I will be the first one to show up in your defense because of my love for you.
This is really hitting home because I know you know a little bit of my story.
Yes.
And I don't have a great relationship with my parents.
Of course.
I don't know that my faith is as strong as yours. But through this story, it's clear that from, this set of circumstances that you were dealt, you probably never thought you were going to have a relationship with your dad until this happened.
And we're fine today. I mean, but he may listen to this, but he knows he's a hard nose. It's just...
he knows he's a hard nose. He knows who he is, and you know who he is.
Yes, and I have accepted that. I fought that for a long time. We would get into arguments when I was a young mom. He showed his colors again in the sense that he was there for me. He supported me. I mean, I now entered into his world. He has always represented the criminals, and now his daughter was just assaulted by one of these people that he normally represents.
Did that change the trajectory of how he did his job, or
no?
No.
But
has that been hard for you?
Not necessarily, because again, it is who he is, and he has poured his whole life into his work, and that was one of his faults. As we were young and little girls, he worked all the time, and so there's never been a close relationship as far as run up and settle into daddy's lap, and
like what your kids have with
exactly
Jane,
like what my kids have.
Have you ever had a conversation with your dad about that night since?
Not in detail like this.
Okay.
And my dad is an atheist to this day. So it is hard for him to hear me talk about God.
Yeah.
To this day, he has never been to an Ordinary Hero event because he says that we may speak of God.
Well, let's actually talk about that a little bit, because what's interesting is the person that connected me to your organization is Jewish, and I'm not sure that she believes in God per se in the same sense
In her
that you do.
way, yes,
Yeah.
she does.
And it was, in fact, one of the reasons I was more interested in Ordinary Hero, and I want to explain why. I have been involved in, I'm going to call them Christian organizations or church organizations, where I've been disappointed in the outcome of their goals. The goal being to preach rather than to put their money where their mouth is and their boots to the ground and help. And so when I watched Linda supporting your organization and in the way that she was, because it's not like I'm not Christian. I'm a little confused about everything.
Sure.
I grew up Catholic, so I grew up with God being a huge part of my life. I just have some boundaries with it.
Sure.
And I think everybody should be able to believe what they want to believe. And that doesn't mean that, somebody that doesn't believe in God can't be a really good person. And so when I went on one of your trips, I of course, living in the South, moving from Canada, it is a bit of a culture shock anyway, being in the South and everybody praying all the time and asking which church everyone goes to. It is different. And I embrace it, just as I've embraced all three of my children exploring religion and God in their own ways and on their own time. So watching you, a devout Christian, be everything I think a devout Christian should be and represent was really life-changing for me. It affected my relationships with a lot of other people without you knowing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah. Because the hypocrisy sometimes with religion is really thick. And just because you call yourself religious or Christian, in fact, those are two different things to me, does not necessarily mean you're a good person in the same way that somebody who's not. They're good and bad people.
I'm really glad you said that because that's been very important to me. I grew up with no religion. My mother ran from it. She was raised very legalistic in the church. And everyone was in the church in her family, but it was legalism and it was all the do's and don'ts. And so when she turned 18, she literally ran from it and raised us to just be able to explore and do whatever we wanted. And of course, my father was an atheist, so I had no influence other than my grandparents in a small town church that they went to. I went with them every now and then. But, so I think in a way that was better that I didn't have any religious garbage in my life to work around. And
you could actually develop a relationship with God personally.
And so when this happened and I was so lost, it's interesting because God also knew the way that I was bent. At that time, I did not have a relationship with my father that was good. So my identity was in my boyfriend. And just boys in general, to get that affirmation, and which so many young girls do. They go there and they think the boyfriend is everything because they've never had anyone in their life that's telling them they're beautiful.
Well, and that's it. I mean, I think we as mothers are shifting how we raise our daughters. Don't you feel?
Yes.
Like, I mean, even for me, I was told I was pretty a lot growing up.
Yes.
I wasn't told I was as smart as I was pretty. And I think that has been shifted in this next generation. And I think, and then some.
Yes. But knowing the way that I was, I do feel like God placed my husband, who was a Christian. I had never dated a Christian, but 10 days before that happened to me, before I was attacked, I went out on somewhat of a blind date, if you want to call it. Never, didn't even know him. But a friend of mine, I had walked into a store and Shane saw me and thought I was cute and asked my friend, can we all go out together? So she called me, said, can we make this happen? I said, I guess, so we just went to eat. It was fun. He and I connected, and then boom, that happened. So
10 days before the
we went
incident.
out, yes, 10 days before the incident. And so then that happened, and he was in shock, and he came out to visit me, I remember, with my friend. And the whole town was in shock. This had never
This is
happened.
big news.
Big news. And I mean, kids were in counseling sessions in the schools over it. Just,
Because this guy's out there still, too.
well, no. Remember, my father caught the
Oh, the second one, right. But for the first, well, yeah, you're right.
So they were both
yeah.
caught.
And what happened to them in the end?
Do you know there's one still in prison today
From that incident?
from that incident?
Are you kidding me?
Not kidding. People don't know that, but and then it was only a few years ago.
Is it because you were a minor? Was the charge
and because state and federal
crossing the state lines?
federal charges
How do you
were
feel
involved.
about that?
Forgiveness is another huge part of my story, and it's not something that's easy for people. But it was mandatory for me to be able to do what I do today because I was so broken and so lost during that time. I also developed a medical condition from the assault, and my doctor stood up in court and testified that I would never be able to physically have children of my own. And
My jaws.
people still don't know yet how many children I have.
I didn't know this part of your story for sure. Your doctor stood up in court, stated you would likely never have children, or you would never
have children.
Okay. Because of a medical condition that you developed from the sexual assault, the rape.
Yes.
And now, so you know this before he testifies in court. And are you dating Shane at this time?
Yes.
You are dating your now husband at the time. And does he know?
He knows.
He knows.
He knows. And he was very supportive of me through all of that. And he's a piano player.
Yes.
And so he played at this little church, and he invited me to just go with him. So naive and not knowing anything about church, I went with him and just started sitting in while he'd be up playing. And boy, one of the churches, it wasn't his church, but they'd invited him to play, and it was a Pentecostal church. Mind you, I had no experience in church.
I have been to a Pentecostal
And all of a
church.
sudden, they're all running through the camp. And I'm scared to death. What in the world? And so I literally go up.
I want you to explain what you just said, because people who don't know.
Oh, running through the camp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, they all get the Holy
The
Spirit.
Holy Spirit inside of them.
Yes, and they just start dancing.
Yeah.
And I mean, and they're running and they're dancing.
Praise
Before you know
Jesus.
it's a train.
It's a train, yeah.
It's a train. And, I don't doubt that a lot of them are having Holy Spirit experiences. And
But this is your first experience.
This was my
watching.
first,
Yeah.
and I was like, what's he got me into?
Okay.
So anyway, I just went up and planted myself on the bench up on the stage with him, because that's how comfortable I felt going up to the front, because everyone else is out where I was just running through the camp. So I just went up and sat with him. But in that very same church, this was where, I had gotten to a place where I had started going to church. It was new to me, and it wasn't necessarily this church, but it was another one that he was a member of. And it was a non-denominational church, but they just embraced me and loved me and welcomed me. And for the first time, I was just hearing about God, hearing the word of God, and just the power in that. And so as I was learning more, I started really diving into the Bible. I thought the Bible was for old people. I thought it was just,
But you had just gone through an incredibly traumatic experience.
Yes, and I was looking for answers.
And you were looking for answers. And when we are seeking answers, sometimes those signs appear before us because we're ready for them.
Yes. And so all of this lined up, and I had been praying for forgiveness because I was reading right there, God forgave us. And so we are called to forgive those who sin against us. All of this is in there. And we have to rise up in ourselves and really trust God for that, because it's not something that we have the power of our own self to do. So it's a level of your faith. And so I felt like I had been praying for that and felt like, okay, I have forgiveness. And then sometimes I doubt it. Oh no, I hate them. How could I ever forgive them? This is, you've got to look past the act. And it's very
Let me
hard.
ask a question about in court. So did they ever apologize to you?
No, and they made up lies and tried to get out of it.
That makes the forgiveness part really hard.
Yes. And so, and the whole court thing was awful.
A disaster.
Yes. And here I am 16 having to get up in front of these monsters and go through the whole experience, not once, but twice. State court, then federal court. So all of that. So I had been praying for this, and this is another, I look at it as a gift that God gave me, even though it's wild. But I was in this church with my husband. He is up playing again on the stage, and I'm just in the back with the congregation. It's a small church. And the pastor says, let's everybody come down front and just pray. So everybody's walking down front, and I get up and I'm just kind of walking and heading towards the front of the church, and I'm just kind of in this prayer mode, looking down and walking and praying. And so he just says, just put your hand on the person in front of you and just pray for that person. Very simple act. So I'm just kind of like this, looking down, and then put my hand out like this. And when I look up, I'm literally praying for one of my attacker's mothers. Have my hand on his mother, the same woman who I had been sitting across from me in court, all of those court trials and everything I had been through. And she had sat with him. She went to this church, and I didn't know it. Again, we're in a small town.
Oh my gosh.
But still. So all of those feelings just...
Did she turn around and see you?
Yes.
So you put your hand on her?
Not immediately, but I mean, I saw her before because I'm putting my hand on her back, and I look up and I recognize her. All of those emotions flooded me.
Oh my gosh.
And this is right after I'd been praying for forgiveness. And now, flashback, her with him, her support of him. And I'm supposed to pray for this woman. And I mean, it was just like a supernatural gift that I just rose up. And I give all credit to God, because it's not something that we can do. But because I truly wanted it, and I didn't even know why I wanted it. I know now, because I can't lead people today harboring bitterness and unforgiveness and thinking I'm going to go change lives myself and take other people to change lives and still have all of this junk in me.
Resentment in you.
So...
Does she react to you?
She did. So in the end, we're both crying, and I just literally prayed. It's like I got a vision of her as a mother. And I just thank God for that. Everything about what had happened just left my mind. In that moment, I was seeing her brokenness over what had happened as a mother and how broken she was. So she cried, I cried. It was this moment, and I feel like that launched me into a place of forgiveness, because it just allowed me to see just the dark place that they must have been in,
of course,
to do this. And it just brought clarity.
Do you feel like that moment was significant to the rest of your future and how you were able to open yourself up to help everybody else?
Of course. Yeah. I believe that was a significant launching pad for me, so to speak, because...
And you're still a teenager?
Yes, I am 16 going on 17. It wasn't long after the fact.
So let's flash forward a little bit. So you are now, you and Shane are developing a relationship.
Yes.
Did you go to college or did you get
No,
married? You got
no.
married?
Got pregnant.
Got
And married.
pregnant.
That's the next chapter.
So you get
So
pregnant.
I get pregnant again, as I was saying. My
Miss, I can't, this woman's never going to be able to
never
bear
going to be
children.
able to bear children.
Yes.
So again, my whole identity and getting past all of the, even though I was growing and learning about things of God, my identity was still in shame. Like, no matter what, he's going to be the one that fixes, makes everything better. He's in my life now. He'll protect me. He'll watch over me. And so I was going to visit him. Shane, my now husband. Everything was wrapped up into him. Like, just wanted to be with him constantly, probably just made me feel safe. And so you've got a teenager.
But also, you're kind of scared to have your own identity at this point.
Yes.
You just need to forget about you.
Yes.
Throw yourself into
and
somebody
I did
else.
that. I literally changed friend groups.
There might be people out there listening right now that can identify with this and maybe not even know that's what they are currently doing.
I didn't know I was doing it at the time, but I had a whole friend group and just let that one go, replaced it. I got a new car, a new wardrobe.
Reinvent
Zeroed in
yourself.
on Shane at that time. I had a boyfriend before Shane and just kind of let all of that go and just, now Shane was my world. Well, I was going to visit him in college. He was going to UK and I was a junior in high school and we were dating up into my senior year. And so during my senior year, I was going to visit him every weekend in college. And I mean, we were inseparable, loved each other. Enjoyed each other's company, well, a little too much. I don't care how strong of a Christian he was. You've got your little girlfriend showing up to your apartment every weekend and things are going to happen.
Yes, he's loving with all of himself.
Yes. And it's the situations you put yourself in.
Yeah.
And so,
Human.
yes.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I am on my senior spring break with my girlfriends.
And your breasts hurt.
Everything hurts.
You have a pimple. And you're like, wait, what is happening?
I was supposed to have started my period before I left, and it never came. And I came back scared to death. And I remember going by myself to my stepfather's office with a test by myself, let myself in. It was nighttime on a Sunday night and took the test, and it was positive. And I just sat and cried and stared at myself in the mirror, just as we do, when we have like my world was spinning.
Well, and also your world at this point was rooted in shame because of the incident.
Everything. And I'm just
so this was not going to
help another thing for people to talk about me, And at this time I had just been crowned homecoming queen, Miss CCHS of my high school. Now I'm bawling, crying, staring at myself in the mirror, and I'm pregnant. And 17. I was a young graduate. So then I go into shame, hide this. I've got to keep this until I graduate. I can't let people know I'm pregnant. How embarrassing. My dad is, again, one of the top attorneys in the town. And so when this happened, I decided, first of all, this was a miracle. I literally heard with my own ears, and he testified in court that I would never be able to have children. So during that time, Shane also got his church praying for me, and that God would heal my body and heal my mind, and that's what he did. And so all of a sudden I'm pregnant, trying to hide it, but I'm going to keep the baby. I have a lot of influence around me to get an abortion, and lots of, even my father was saying, this is what you're going to do. You're going to get an abortion and you're going to go to college. I would have been the first one in my family that didn't go to college. And so again, he and I go head to head, and I just say, I just know that I wasn't even supposed to be pregnant in the first place, so I'm keeping the baby. And he didn't like that. And so Shane and I immediately got married after we graduated. I was 17. My mother had to sign for me, and he was 20.
There are going to be people that listen to this and they're either going to roll their eyes.
Layers.
Yeah, there's so many layers to this. If you know me and you know my heart, you know that I know this person very, very well. Extremely well, as far as I'm concerned, over the last couple of years. You learn a lot about each other when you're, in the poorest part of the world on top of a mountain feeding children. But so like I could be one of those naysayers. 17, pregnant, she's going to get married. Why should she have to get married? Why should I have all these questions right now. And also I might still say that in another situation right now, if it were even my own child. But to now know you and Shane, how perfect you are together. Not perfect, how perfect you are together. Yes. Because you have set me straight many times when I was like, y'all are perfect. You're like, or your life is perfect. You're like, oh, honey, let me tell you some stories. Yes. You just trust. You love him. It's not like you don't love him.
No, we had fallen in love.
You had fallen in love.
Been together about a year and a half.
Yeah. You're obviously, you want to have the baby, but the other layer to this is that you didn't think that you could have a baby. And what if you can't have another baby? Right. There's like all these layers. So now comes, which child is this?
This is Lauren.
This is Lauren.
She's our first.
Okay.
And
the first of
the first of 5 biological children that I birthed.
Yeah.
And we got married right after I graduated, and my father was not in favor, so he did not walk me down the aisle or have any part of all of that. So that kind of put a wedge there a little bit again. But
with all the forgiveness work that you had done, that was a drop in the bucket.
Yes. So we were just very young. I mean, figuring it out as we went, but we loved each other. We loved our life together. And it was right after we got married. He was very intentional about getting back in church. And he has had a relationship with God since he was 13. And he doesn't even know why he has the convictions he has. But he's just strong, has never been influenced by people around him. And he was a great influence for me. And so he made sure that we found this little church. It had other young couples in it. And I will never forget, that was my turning point to finally just dump it all at the altar, so to speak, because we were in church, there was a message, and he was using his handicapped child in the front as an example.
And the pastor?
The pastor was telling a story and using Abraham about to sacrifice Isaac, and just using the example with his own child as a visual, and it just impacted me so much. And it was just, there was a moment where God stopped the sacrifice and, brought in, an angel came and all this stuff, but it was just, and he was just saying, the sacrifice didn't stop with Jesus. God could have stopped it with him as well, but he went through it. And there was just this visual picture, because I was dealing with so much shame and not even wanting to share my story because it's just gross. It's just, look what happened. But then this picture of him being the one who all he did was love people. All he did was heal people and just literally show love to the Jew, to the lost, to the broken. Didn't matter who it was, the prostitute. And this picture of him hanging on a cross, bloodied, naked, hit home with me, because that's how I was. And it just
literally bloodied
and naked. And that's what's so powerful about the God we serve, is he's not just this thing floating around out in the orbit. He literally sent an example and lived everything that we live as someone that we can trust, because he's been through it. And so he just shared that I can literally take all of my junk, and he went through that for me so that I don't have to carry it. That was the whole point of him going through that.
So the actual visual of you taking the junk and all the stuff that you had been carrying.
I walked down there literally I walked down there, and I always say Lauren led the way because I was 8 months pregnant at this time, and my belly led the way. And all they did was just calling you down if you're struggling with things and just want prayer. And still, I'm new to all this. I didn't even know what it all meant. I just knew I was ready to release it. And boy, did I. I went down there and just, someone prayed with me, and I sobbed and left all of that right there at that altar in that little church and just left free. And again, I wasn't wrapped up in religion and what it was supposed to look like, this or that. I was just following truth. If this
And
is
you
the
still
truth.
aren't, it doesn't feel
No,
like.
I hate religion.
No, I also, I think religion is the thing that confuses.
And it's
all of us.
because I have lived it and I have seen it and witnessed it. And that's why people can argue religion. All I can share is what God has revealed to me. This is the truth that I know that I know. And then after that, God just literally continued to heal my body, my mind to this
Do you
day.
think some other people think when they say the universe or energy, do you think that's God when they're saying that?
I think they want it to be God because we are made as physical beings to worship something.
Something, yeah.
Yes.
Believe in something,
Believe in something.
or you believe
and
in
we
nothing.
there's a whole other part of my story where my mother brought in this metaphysical group. She was searching. Again, she left religion. And dear God, how deep do you want to go? I'll just
Thank you for being here for part 1 of Kelly Putty's story. Her journey is powerful and still unfolding. So we invite you to join us in part 2 as we continue the conversation and hear the rest of her story.